So I am admittedly a bit of a tech nerd. I love technology, I love cameras, I love lighting, I love stuff. As an engineer, that's probably not too much of a surprise, but actually, I just enjoy it. I like working with new stuff. I like iPhones, watches, whatever. That's kind of my thing. So when I think was it December, there was at some point Chat GPT started to get mentioned, and as you do, you ignore it for a little bit, then you jump on the bandwagon and you go and check it out. So if you search for Chat GPT, you can actually create a completely free account. I recommend it if you haven't actually tried it to go and try it. And essentially what you have, this is the first public major step to rolling out artificial intelligence as a tool for people to use. Through but through watching videos of the people that run these companies, they're actually purposely taking their time to roll this out, not because the technology is not ready, but because people might get scared and then backlash and almost block everything. And actually, in some ways, that's kind of started to happen. So ChatGPT, if you haven't used it, it's essentially like having a personal assistant. If you've ever watched Iron Man, in the film Iron Man, he has Jarvis, which he talks to verbally, and he asks him to do stuff, and it just goes away and does it, gives him the answer. And it's really good. You could use this if you're still at school or at college to cheat on exams, courses, and tests, because actually you could say, write me a 1,000-word essay on the modern marketing theories and use a Harvard referencing system and put the references at the bottom. You can literally type that in, press send, and it will go away and do its thing and come back to you with a perfectly written, often, thing that you could then tweak yourself. But the point is, this is free and it's currently available, and it will just change the world. I've started to use ChatGPT quite a lot with the website, so with roadmapmba.com. One of the things that I'm starting to put a much bigger focus on is SEO and backlinks and web traction and even just web performance of what we're looking to do. And actually, I use it to help write SEO optimized blogs on different topics and actually use that to do the heavy lifting, which then I tweak and then put onto the website, and then I go into Google Search Console to then index. One of the big things that we are starting to push for ourselves as a unique selling point for the roadmap is basically personalized learning plans. You might have noticed in previous weeks we were tempted to call this mentor, but I don't think that quite said what it was. But the idea is that most business courses have a fixed curriculum that you start at day one, you go through it in order, and then you come out at the end with some skills and a certificate. But actually in the real world, depending on the challenges that you face, you might actually be better off jumping straight to maybe module 9 on sales, because that's the actual challenge that you want. So what we wanted to do is come up with a tool that can ask you questions, and what we're looking to do is solve your problems in the same way a management consultant would. So it's the same way I would if I verbally spoke to you, in a way to direct you to different things. But as a prime example, on Tuesday this week, I logged on to ChatGPT and basically said, help, can you write an article which is 1,000 words on the personal learning plans, why they're good, and how we can use them for the Roadmap MBA. And I told it what the Roadmap MBA was, so that our mission was to make business education accessible. And then what it went to do over the next minute was churn out a very good SEO optimized blog for personalized learning plans on the Roadmap MBA, which then I could put on the website and use. And why this is really important is that it's a tool that people can use, and you also have different AI tools, which I haven't really used yet, which can do images. People are starting to talk about video, but this is also quite scary, that if you are a copywriter or you're a video creator or you create art or whichever, there's a potential that something could come in which disrupts your industry. And actually, I saw some commentary yesterday from a friend who is a copywriter who was commenting on ChatGPT, talking about how she didn't believe that it was a threat to her business. It will just make her life easier. But that's for her how she uses it. The issue is if her clients, or say if I was looking to maybe hire a copywriter, but now I don't have to, it will still have an impact. The trick would be to then, for a copywriter to adapt their business model, to use it as a tool but your pricing and your previous ways of doing business might have to change to relate to this. So anyway, so coming back to the topic, this week there has been EU potential regulation where people are starting to discuss that should, within the European Union, they ban Chat GPT until they understand its real impacts and what it could do for job displacement and lots of different stuff. And whilst I understand that the European Union want to do that to help protect workers and really get a feel for the technology and limit its potential impact, what it's actually going to do is mean that in other parts of the world that could be outside the EU, so it could be China, it could be India, it could be the US, it could be anywhere, you are giving those countries a competitive advantage in certain areas that you're limiting and preventing European, I guess the UK is now outside of Europe, but you're actually hurting yourself through taking away a tool that people can use, because actually it's not a global ban, it's just in certain regions. And it was just that balance of whenever you launch something new, the actual companies behind the AI are mega keen to slowly build it in and make people comfortable with it and actually roll out different features so people don't get spooked and scared. But the irony is that government legislation could actually torpedo what they want to do, and that's kind of outside of their hands. Within the course, we talk about pestle analysis, which is looking at all of the political, economic, social, technological changes, etc., which can impact your business. And actually, government regulation is a massive one that can impact. So you could actually have the best AI tool in the world, but actually, you could have your business just stopped by government regulation, which could really impact you. But the thing that I wanted to kind of talk about is that actually people are going to find a way around it. So that if you've ever heard of a VPN, it's a way, a virtual personal network, to actually pretend to log onto the internet from England, but make the internet think that you're in Venezuela. And my point is that people will just get around this by using something like a VPN to still use these tools. And I just think it's naive in some ways to blanket try and ban the tools which can actually positively impact business. But the issue is it's how it's done that essentially I think the genie is out of the bottle. There will be massive disruption in a lot of different industries, including education, which is why we're looking to pivot in a slightly different way. But the point is, doing nothing or simply trying to ignore it or ban it or block it won't actually get the genie back in the bottle. But actually, it's a really important topic that I'd love to know actually, do you use Chat GPT? What have you used it for? I know a lot of people use it for coding and actually trying to debug stuff, and it is a very clever kind of tool, but it's as good as the stuff that you put into it. But it was just something that I wanted to kind of mention. So yeah, so with the EU looking at tougher regulation, and basically they're looking to create an AI regulatory framework for what things can and can't do, and to make sure, at least as much as they can, to make sure there's no inbuilt bias and that kind of thing, which could actually turn negative. But again, this is all just based on risk and fear, that the worry is an organization, be it the EU or someone else, blocks a technology which actually other people in rival competitive nations, Russia, China, whoever, actually has use too, and it actually hurts you in the long run.